about my conspiracy theory about this driver's license thing, where there are certain kinds of jobs you really don't need a driver's license for it, and they can hire you in a capacity where you just, I mean, you think about it, if you're cleaning a trolley, you don't need a driver's license. You're going to get on the trolley to get to the station you have to go to, you know, or a bus for that matter, and you're going to clean the trolley. And so you're given a spray bottle to squirt on the windows of the trolley, and then you're going to be given this stick with a handle on it where you're like a pressure washer. You push it, but instead of water coming out the end, I guess it's cable. It's not hydraulic, it's cable. Like old style airplanes before they had hydraulic, and so there's a cable, you know, if that's the original kind of fly-by-wire, you pull the yoke back and the thing activates a claw that goes and picks up the trash. It grips the trash with, I guess, plastic, kind of like the ends of a cane, someone with a walking cane, but they're set up so that grasps with rubber. Rubber is the right word. Is rubber, and it grasps whatever object it is, and if it's trash, you put it in a trash bag. So that's something you don't need a driver's license for. I have a conspiracy theory. We'll get into that in another video where I'm going to show you the MTS recruiter on LinkedIn. She's kind of pretty, because I met Upaharana. Ian Shearing met Maleka Lincoln, so he gets this other person that's a little less than Maleka Lincoln. I met Upaharana in high school, so I get Victoria Leach from MTS, but we'll get into that in another video. And I'm quite impressed by her. She talks very fast. She does what she does. She worked at a casino. A Desi girl, you know. In India, they really keep track of all this stuff about the visas, because but I mean, it's even then it's a 1% thing. It's a 1% thing, but it affects a lot of people in India because they've got people that are going to sponsor them to come in and work in really, really technical jobs like tech, IT tech kind of stuff, and other fields that are very technical. So they got people that are going to sponsor them to get their visa to come in and work that way. I do digress. I want to talk about, I was talking a little bit about the driver's license thing, because they've got other ways where if they just can tell they don't like someone because the person's too slow, responds in a certain way, or if, right? But I'm any psychologist's worst nightmare. Because the services that we're supposed to be getting, we're making a lot of videos and talking about a lot of topics, but just stick on this topic. I'm any psychologist's worst nightmare. And it's much like in, let's say, institutional settings, so institutional clinical psychologists. In institutional settings, the social worker now is someone that has to go and get a 6-year degree to be able to work in that institution at that level. But their job, speaking of people getting these cush jobs, is a glorified Googler. So they just, what makes it social work is they know what they're authorized and not authorized to Google for specific populations of people in an institutional setting that can only interface with the world, the outside world, and receive knowledge and you know, be directed to people to talk to based on certain specifications. For example, a forensic hospital. And so you've got these glorified Googlers that went and got master's degrees in social work. I mean, it's completely ridiculous. They need to get rid of the public schools, 100% get rid of the public schools. It's time to just be honest and be honest now, and that's why I talk about the Republican Party needs to be a party of really innovative new solutions. The Democrats couldn't do it. They had Kamala Harris, and even people in California, well, I mean, they knew. Part of it is, I'm really digressing, part of it is, speaking of my shipyard example that we're going to get into, we passed by the shipyard on the Blue Line trolley, and okay, you know, Democratic Party, don't like war, you know, let's be peaceful, let's have a lot of peacetime. But, you know, as the Attorney General of California, who does she represent? Everybody knows. It's the major stakeholders in landscape, including NASCO, General Dynamics. So she because she's from California, if we elected her president, because she's from California, you know, it wouldn't hurt the shipyard. It couldn't hurt the shipyard to have Kamala Harris as president. But we need to just get rid of teachers. We need to get rid of the schools. And he was sitting here at the Conrad previous student union at San Diego State University on what is the 4th of July. Independence Day. I'm doing well. I'm doing damn well with almost no money in my bank account and 200 job applications in. I'm doing damn well. I've got nothing to complain about, because Michael Bernard Beckwith says that perfectly disables reality. If you're sitting across the table from someone at, say, the public library downtown at the Central Library that is, you don't want to talk about the sad things. You don't want to talk about the way things are. You want to talk about the way things should be, and that becomes reality. And the more you have this kind of synergy, it's what Napoleon Hill called it. By the way, oh, he's crazy. They had to dirty up Napoleon Hill posthumously because of how psychically true everything he taught from the psychic realm. Some people are going to say that this is outdated physics, stuff about the ether, but this stuff holds true. Every mind is a broadcasting station and a receiving station for thought energy. It is. And Napoleon Hill said, people can tell telepathically as soon as you walk into a room if you're worthy of getting the cell, or making the cell rather. And they can just tell if you've got a positive state of mind, what he called the positive mental attitude, telepathically. So, body language experts and people that are interdisciplinary psychologists are going to say this has to do with micro expressions. This has to do with little things people pick up on very subtly, like how you're breathing, how you're standing, if your feet are pointed in or out, are you hyperextending your legs, that kind of stuff. Are you moving quickly? Are these little twitches happening that you might want to try to practice and start to pick up on in other people that has this kind of sense of spontaneity? No, literally telepathically. So that's why they had to dirty up Napoleon Hill posthumously. I do digress. So these videos end up being about so much. We were talking about psychologists, institutional setting, a lot like social workers that get degrees, master's degree in social work, 6 years of education in a lot of cases, in order to be glorified Googlers. But I wanted to say that I would be any psychologist's worst nightmare, clinical psychologist's worst nightmare, especially with the services that we're supposed to be getting, where it's to keep us inside pretty much. And this goes to, I made a video yesterday about my face and what it does when I'm doing anything. Well, is this hypnotic? Is this some kind of subconscious thing where when he knows he's doing something that he's getting paid for and he's contributing value, this is his way of autistically stimming to show society, I'm not going to do work and contribute value to society. Well, no, I'm going to tell you point blank, no. It's just that it turns out things you get paid for the most part, do consume, if not physical energy, and if they're physically demanding, but they consume cognitive energy. Yes, there's cush jobs, there's hookup jobs, where someone knows calculus, doesn't have to do calculus because the computer at Train or Johnson Controls or wherever it is does all the calculus for you. You just have to look at the computer and sign off on something, and it's more of a liability absorption thing. That you know calculus, but the computer does the calculus. But of course, you've got insurance anyway. So if Al-Qaeda hacked your computer or whoever, and the whole building falls down because whoever, foreign interest, Russia, I don't know, whatever you want to blame it on, didn't like us, and so the whole skyscraper came down. I mean, you've got insurance anyway, and it's just a horrible tragedy, and it's blame it on the computer. And I didn't want to kill thousands of people in a horrible building collapse. But you don't take it in that direction. You don't want to think about negative stuff like that. We want to think about the way things should be. And I like my skyscraper standing upright and steady, and being able to look down on the world from an incredible, beautiful, air-conditioned office, wearing a suit like a lawyer without worrying about the thing crumbling under me. But to that point about, my face starts doing this, like I was talking about, when I'm expending energy cognitively or physically that has economic value, what that does, the reason why they want to medicate for that, even though it actually prevents us from doing that work and ends up just kind of numbing us to the fact we can't do that work, can't make that money, and have to get SSI, is that being in desensitizes people to bad genes. Because I was saying last night, as I was approaching 12th and Imperial on the Green Line trolley, you remember I was saying last night that, they identify people that have bad genes early that are trying to speed up and overcompensate. And that's one way to tell if their face is doing this and these jerk motions, but if they're moving quickly, and even though they're struggling to move quickly, eventually that flattens out, as they say, not with medication, but with time, when they find a community of people that are willing to let themselves integrate that way. And the whole point is, now we know you have bad genes, so we're just going to shut down all these parts of your brain, shut down your overcompensation, shut down your attraction sexually to women that move that quickly and are athletic. And so, by the way, you get rid of some carrots that are dangling above you as a mouse running on a treadmill, and you end up on that treadmill anyway. You might as well get moving. I don't think they should do that, but they don't. So right there, we're going to mark you as having bad genes, and in order to protect all of society, we are going to get you a special wife with special needs that'll wear the Vuori yoga pants, like girls running around in Encinitas and Carlsbad, like I was talking about, with running shoes or carrying their yoga mats to do their yoga or Pilates. Not far from that Indian thing. He's a guy I quoted in my book once I was a reporter. It's like I was in San Diego the whole time. I was in North County, San Diego, actually. I was disabling. Everything I was doing was disabling me being disabled by the community in psychiatry. But back to the main point, which is that's what these medications end up doing. And so now, because I was on those pills for almost a decade, my face still does this in certain situations when I'm trying to speed up. But it's just a truth. If you ask, so if you take neurologically and mentally, and if you apply stuff athletes know, people studying kinesiology or something like that, they would have no choice but to admit that yes, much like with developing muscles, if you want to look like Vin Diesel or something, if you're moving at a fast speed, you end up picking up on things in the world that people moving at a slow speed wouldn't. This is what I was talking about in my upcoming book, The Dark Parts of Wisdom, where I wanted to connect with the security guards at Ala Moana Shopping Center in Hawaii. Has just been voted the #2 shopping center in the country, and Westfield malls here in San Diego, and everywhere where there's malls, Allied Universal security guards that have access to surveillance camera footage. And it would actually reveal something if you just kind of overlay, even without facial recognition. That would help eventually for understanding group behavior, the kind of tax people are in. Also, you'd uncover certain things about people with rich family offices where they can just hook up with anyone they want, and they've got something called a fall boy, and they were trying to do it for me, but now we have to break back into that, and we're going to do it, and that's the point of making these videos. But I digress again, which is all you have to do is kind of overlay. You don't even have to make a visual, like put After Effects in there, do layers with a funnel of field of view. But someone moving at a certain speed relative to everybody else's speed of walking in, say, a shopping mall, on any floor of a shopping mall, if you look at their field of view, there are certain things that people that are walking faster are going to be able to pick up on, particularly the predation of dating. And women at a higher level that are more athletic, that are more beautiful, that are taller, that are more Amazonian. People that are moving slower, they're the autistics that are medicated, by and large, that are supposed to pick up on a special, slower moving, they're not even a failure to launch girl or something like that, but it's a special girl for them. And I was like, I think it would prove this hypothesis if I saw. So weirdly, you could make the case, much like, that there's a national security aspect to it. Actually, some people would make that argument, but there's no reason they wouldn't be able to do that for me. So I never ended up connecting with them. But how do you explain that to an Allied Universal security guard? But there's really no information to be gleaned that would hurt the businesses or anything. I'm not a terrorist that wants to blow up the mall. Well, of course, you could make the argument that someone that's not qualified to date a San Diego State University Aztecs women's volleyball player ending up married to that women's volleyball player, and her dad having to set him up a trust fund because he makes an argument, and he gets a strip mall in Las Vegas they've had for 30 years and a nice house in Encinitas is blowing up a shopping mall. If you say that's blowing up a shopping mall, okay, I guess I'm blowing up a shopping mall.